So here we have a playback timeline. We're in the playback of the recorder. And the playback timeline is not showing the difference between motion detection and a VCA event of the line crossing. We can see the blue line here. So let's play back what happened, see what Teddy did. Teddy created a lot of motion detection, and hence there's the recording. And we'll see when he crosses the line, the Hikvision's quite clever. It knows he's not a human, so I have to fool it repeatedly. There we go, the line's turned red. That was a VCA event. And yet we see no difference in the timeline. So it's very hard. If you're trying to find what happened, you've got lots of motion detection to watch. There's no identifier in here to indicate where the VCA events happened, such as somebody actually walking into your garden rather than it just a leaf fell off a tree. But you may wish to have motion detection active all the time so as to capture or be sure of capturing everything that happened, whereas relying on VCA to be able to identify exactly when the damage was done by a vandal or somebody entered the garden. So let's look at how we can achieve this, seeing as we can't do it on the timeline of this model. So here's how we set up the camera to achieve this. If we go to configuration, and we're then going to want to go to events. Let's move that out of the way. So in events here, we've got a number of events, of course. We've got basic events, we've got motion detection enabled, and then the linkage method is simply to turn on the light. We don't want it to notify anything, we just want it to trigger the recording here. That's motion detection is set to cover the area. No target detection required. It needs to be very sensitive to make sure that everything is captured. But if we go to Smart Event, here we can set a schedule, of course, like everything else, but it records. But crucially, Notify Surveillance Center is ticked. So with our line crossing detection, the VCA Smart Events, any of the events, according to our area settings, will cause Notify Surveillance Center. So both basic events and smart events are enabled. Basic boring motion detection without target detection will cause recording, as shown here. But smart events, well, they're set to notify the surveillance center, and that's how we make those notifications available to HitConnect. So in HitConnect, maybe you want to record every movement that happens without relying on VCA. So for example, Teddy here, well, he's going to trigger some movement alarms. The camera's just brought on the light, but he hasn't crossed a line in the picture where we've got line crossing detection. Unfortunately, in the playback timeline for Hikvision, you can't always differentiate between an intelligent VCA event and just standard motion detection. You may want to have motion detection on all the time at high sensitivity to make absolutely sure that where VCA hasn't determined it's a human being, you still capture whatever somebody did. Maybe they're crawling around underneath a car or something. So you may want to have motion detection constantly sensitive so that all recordings are captured, but you don't want endless notifications every time a leaf falls off a tree. So you want line crossing detection with VCA to only create events that you can quickly use to locate what happened, and this is how we do it. I'm going to show you the end result in the app here. We'll need to set it, so here we are looking at street parking camera. If we go back to playback, we can see all the motion detection events in here. But at live view, we've got event messages, which are only where Teddy has crossed a line. So in a minute, I'll be showing you those settings actually in the camera's configuration. But what we do need to set is the HitConnect app. So the three dots at the top right, then settings, notifications, and in notifications, we may want to choose not to have push notifications, otherwise we'll be annoyed every time somebody crosses a line. We'll get a pop-up, and we may not want that. But we do need one of these switched on. So I've gone for receive events, but not push notifications. And of course, report events needs to be switched on there with the green slider. So that's all there is to it in the HikConnect settings, and we can press this and watch a recording of Teddy crossing a line. There we go, he's triggered the recording. Naughty Teddy. But we haven't got an endless stream of events showing here every time motion happened.